Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of The Psychology of Almost Everything. My name is Peter Thompson.
And my name is Stuart Grant.
In this episode, we're going to do Everyman crossword number 4001. When I say do, we're going to give it our best shot. And if you've been with us so far, you'd have heard what we said at the last episode, which is please print it off and join us as we go through clue by clue, looking at the types of strategies or tricks that Everyman plays on us and seeing how you can build up step by step the answers, really. Now, the first thing to say about when I got this crossword the first time, I scanned all the clues looking for something easy, and I really struggled. And I got down to 19 down, which is originally grainy nodules, often cheesy, cuisines highly Italian. And because it had the indicator originally, and you may remember we talked about how acrostics are quite easy to do, I immediately saw gnocchi and I put that in, which is what I'm going to do right now.
Peter, may I just interject and say that, of course, we have looked at this crossword and already solved it, because if we were going to try and do it live, we could be here all night. So
Correct.
It does look like we're whisking through it, it's because we've spent many hours on it already.
Exactly. And it came out about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I did it then, and I struggled. And what was so interesting is I said to Stuart, I looked at this crossword and I couldn't make head or tail of it. I could only do one down, which is, that clue down, which is the gnocchi clue. And so I had to really kind of gather my scattered wits, as it were, take a deep breath and get my thinking cap on and look for other types of clues that we can talk about, anagrams, to look for hidden words as the easier ones to start with. And that's exactly what we're going to do now. So let's have a look, Stuart.
Sorry, Peter, one more thing on that. I must say, over the years that I've been trying to do cryptic crosswords, faced with something like this, where I only got 2 clues, I think, when I first went through the first draw, I would feel so demoralised, I just wouldn't bother. But what I have learnt over the years is, even if you don't get very much to begin with, you will if you persist, or if you, as we said in the last episode, leave it for a bit so unconscious processes come into play, then you will make progress. I don't get so dispirited now when I only get a couple of clues on the first draw. Sorry, Peter.
Well, you're psychologically very resilient, of course. Okay, so I'm going to start with the across clues, and what I'm looking for are either very obvious anagrams. I'm not necessarily going to solve it, and I'm just going to say that's an anagram, definitely, and come back to it, or that's a hidden word. And if I can see the hidden word, I'm going to fill it in immediately. So one across, street fight, Dutch doctors lost for words, looks to me like substitution, because we know street is often ST, so we'll come back to that. We'll leave it for the moment. Elephant seals somewhat, aha. Somewhat is an indicator that there might be a hidden word here. Tiny creatures is probably the definition. Somewhat's the indicator. Elephant seals, yes, in there, ANTS. Can you see it, Stuart?
I can. This is what one of the only
ants.
ones I got the first time I went through.
Okay, so you got ants, I got gnocchi. Okay, according to Spooner, right, we know the Spooners are very difficult. We're going to pass immediately. Number 10 across. So, fierce types in retreat, that is going to be a reversal. When you see retreat, it's very likely going to be a reversal. We'll leave that because it means you've got to find another word and then reverse it. You've got to substitute, a fierce type, whatever that is. Yes, a brave warrior or something. Okay, number 12, checking sons in further education. This is a bit like inserting something. It's not an anagram and it's not hidden. We're going to move on. Kindly. Is the crossword setter displaying competence? Kindly. No, it's not an anagram and it's not a hidden word. In Yorkshire, the motive for sedition. Okay, so there would be sometimes, when it says in Yorkshire, it's telling you to put on a Yorkshire accent, which I'm going to leave to Stuart. Ottoman ruler, A, sweet little thing. That's going to be a substitution, very likely. 19, sibling, base and negative, sent back book. Nothing comes to mind with that one. It's not an anagram, I don't think, and it probably is a reversal, because when you see the letter sent back or the word sent back, it's probably going to be a reversal. Look, handle smeared with blood. Aha. Smeared is one of the thousands of words that we can use to indicate an anagram. And if we do look and handle, if you fiddle about with that, you are going to come up with lo and behold. Is that right? No. Look, handle. Look, handle. Look is what they want to know. That's the definition. Handle smeared with blood. If you take the letters HANDLE and BLOOD, you're going to get lo and behold 2, 3, 6. I'm going to fill that in. That's 20 across. Lo and behold, which again lines up with the Nocky, the O from Nocky. Arrest Brad, that looks like a double definition to me. Police officer's performance, a police officer is usually a DI, and it looks like that's going to be a substitution. Gesture, a wave, did you say, is very likely going to be a homonym, because did you say is like by the sound of it or on the radio. 26th, monthly magazine that's set in the Napoleonic Wars is going to be a kind of smart aleck type clue. You either know the names of your magazines or you don't. Okay, leaves being wise, this is the first one down, is going to be like a double definition. Bloody sparse, nothing comes to mind there. Booze concocted by dry rancher. Aha, concocted is often an indicator for an anagram, and the letters, if you add up B, Y, D, R, Y, you get 5. RANCHER, that's 7. 7 and 5 makes 12, and you've got 6, 6 for the, so it's going to be cherry brandy. Okay.
That's an anagram of dry and rancher.
Thank you. I should have said that. Right. Musician in bed, laid up, demanding, not at first. Not at first typically means you take off a letter, so silly would become illy, for example. You just take off the first letter. We'll come back to that. Spot a canary and a rodent. Nothing would come to mind the first time I looked at that. Man's crisis, awful vanity. Awful is a very common indicator for anagrams, and vanity is the definition, and man's crisis, I think you add it up, is 10 letters, and it will come to narcissism. So that's 7 down, and we know because we've got the ants across, so we know he starts with an N. NARCISSISM. That's helpful. Edit songs displaying tedium. Okay. Displaying is another indicator of an anagram, and edits and songs gives you, Stuart, help me out here, what's going to be anagram, tedium, stodginess, is that right? Stodginess, because we know it begins with an S from the ants. STODGINESS. Okay, if Nan, Dan, Eddie, becoming tormented. Becoming is another indicator for an anagram.
Well, becoming tormented is the indicator, isn't it?
Well, becoming tormented is the indicator. Okay is the definition. Well done, thank you, Stuart. So that would be fine and dandy would be the from the letters Nan, Dan, Eddie, and IF.
That was the only other one I got when I first went through it, to be honest.
Fine. Let me just fill it in so we get it. And dandy. You see, these going to help for the more difficult clues, building up the grid. Figures denoting corporations' growth. That no indicators come to mind. Looks like a bit of a smart aleck clue. Everyman's on the up. Everyman is the setter, so he's I'm, and on the up would be MI rather than I am. Succeeded getting ahead, not entirely accurate. It's going to be miss something, because it's everyman's apostrophe S, miss something.
It may be worth just telling the listeners, I expect many of them know, in Everyman, when you see Everyman, it's usually I'm or me or I.
Yeah.
Or sometimes he refers to himself as the setter.
Yes, yes. And to mislead you, then pretend he's a red setter or a dog or something. Okay. Land in Birmingham, Eric acquired. Do you know, this is is the indicator, and you know, I missed this. I was so cross with myself. I missed it. It's such a clever one. The land is the definition, And listeners, you've probably seen it already, but it's America. The last AM, Eric and A. So let's fill that in.
It's a hidden word.
Hidden word,
yeah.
America. America. Originally done, we've done the Gnocchi. Product of Greece, regularly effectual. Now, that's a technique we didn't talk about in the lessons.
So this is, yes, regularly is referring to the position of the letters in the word.
Correct. So if we take effectual, EFFECTUAL, and we remove the first letter, but leave the second, remove the third letter, and so on and so forth. So in other words, you remove every other letter. You're going to remove E, F, C, U, and L, and that leaves you F, E, T, A, and that is the product of Greece, which is feta cheese. So it's great.
I don't know how, if this is a convention or not, but sometimes you get irregularly as well, and that usually refers to the odd numbers, and regularly usually refers to the even numbers.
Yes.
I'm not sure if that's right or not, but
that's right. But I tried both, and yeah. And finally, luminary's heavenly body.
Double definition?
Double definition, and that has to be starred, doesn't it? Okay. So now, looking at my grid, I've got the 3 down cherry brandy. So I've got a C for one across. And one across is street fight, Dutch doctors lost for words. So let's go. Street is ST. Fight is a ruck, RUCK. So you've got struck. And then Dutch is DU. And MB. So this is substitution, is doctor, MB. And you've got struck done. And being a pedant, I would argue that DU does not always stand for Dutch, because it's Netherlands, NED, or whatever. But hey, that's the answer.
Yeah. I must admit, I got dumb before I got Dutch and MB. You see what I mean? Once I got struck.
Yeah. Which illustrates the point that it doesn't always go logically. Sometimes you see the answer and then you work it out backwards.
Exactly.
And so for them, now we've got one across, we can look at these ones going down because we know their first letters. So the leaves being wise, well, would be sage, wasn't it? Because, yeah.
Double definition.
Double definition. Bloody sparse would be rare, as you have your rare meat or steak, and it's sparse would be it's rare. Musician, in bed laid up. So the bed laid up, bed becomes, instead of BED, becomes DEB. And there are not many musicians whose surnames begin with DEB. Debussy obviously comes to mind. And it says demanding not at first. So demanding would be fussy. Not at first you take the F away and it leaves you the ussy that you need to go after Deb. So Debussy.
I have to confess that I didn't get the fussy bit of that until you told me. I knew it was Debussy from the DEB, but I couldn't work out the fussiness at all.
I always thought Debussy was spelled S-E-Y. And this is what you learn from Crosswords. I will now never misspell Debussy again. Spot a canary, and we know it begins with an M. Take us through this one, Stuart.
Well, I'm not altogether sure about this. And it took me a long time to get it. And in the end, I had to look up to see there was such a thing. So spot a canary and a rodent. Well, rodent was actually rat. And spot a canary, I don't know how the hell I got it, because I think I got another clue over. And so I got nine across before I got this. So I was left with something like M something, L something, and then rat. And the only thing I could think of, the only words that would seem to fit was mole. And I put mole rat in and looked it up, and there is such a thing as a mole rat. But why it's spot a canary, I have got absolutely no idea, and hopefully you're going to tell me.
No, I have no idea either. This is one of the many clues I really struggled with. And like you, I had to look up what a mole rat looks like. It's a pretty ugly thing, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
So I didn't get that. Well, I got it out, but with not a lot of conviction. So now we've got for according to Spooner, the 9 across, I've got G blank R blank E, and then it's a new word, B blank L blank. And we know lingerie is probably the definition. A bargain for money, so, is going to be, money is geld, isn't it?
Yep.
And here we've probably got belt at the end, and so it's going to be a garter belt because it fits. And the reason it's
A spoonerism, because you would be bartering for gelt.
Yes, great. Okay. And then the tenor cross with the blank R, blank O. The fierce type is an ogre, and that's just a guess, if you like. And if you reverse the letters in retreat, in other words, you put them backwards, you get ERGO, which is another word for so, because it's therefore, like cogito ergo sum. So I think therefore I am. Ergo is Latin for so or therefore. And then we've got 12 across, checking son in further education. So further education would be retraining. And if you take S for son and put it in, you get restraining. And that is... do you want to take us through a few, Stuart?
No,
You're okay.
Yes,
You're okay.
no. This
Well, I'll
is,
tell you,
this
do
is
what you
fine.
did give me the Yorkshire one. 16 across.
Okay.
Okay, it begins with a T, blank E, blank S, blank N.
Well, the definition is sedition, and in Yorkshire it'll be treason.
Lovely, lovely. Okay.
Motive is reason.
Yeah.
Reason.
Then 15 across, kindly. Is the crossword setter displaying competence? Okay, you take us through this one because you were talking about Everyman and crossword setters.
Right. Well, this is the crossword setter. This is again a me or an I or an I'm. Displaying competence is ably. So what we've got here is a wraparound, as it were. So the definition is kindly, and the crossword setter is I'm, and in I'm becomes inserted into ably, i.e. competently, competence, and we've got amiably.
Yeah, and do you know what happened to me when I did this the first time? I put amiable with an E at the end, and that's why I struggled to get Debussy. Yeah. Okay, so we've got, we're doing really well here. So we've got 17 across now. An Ottoman ruler, I happen to know, is a sultan. And then you've got A added on. Sweet little thing is a sultana. Then we've got sibling, base and negative, sent back book. Now, whenever you see book in crossword speak, it's often like it could be old books for the Old Testament, OT, or NT for the New Testament. Books, you often get books of the Bible, and when you've got a G blank N blank S, you very likely got Genesis. So you put in Genesis and you work it out, and you've got sister backwards, or sister, sibling is a sister. Base and negative, well, negative is NEG, sent back is Gen. And Stuart, you and I are both wondering where on earth the E comes from. Why base?
Unless we take base to be a gene as the
Yes,
basis
it has to
of
be a
things.
gene. Yeah. Okay. Base.
But then we don't know why it's negative, do we? Don't know where the negative comes in.
No.
Yeah.
No. So this is one of those situations where we know we've got the right answer, but we're not quite
Not
sure
why. This is real life.
Okay, so then we've done look, lo and behold. We've done arrest the Brad. Okay, so double definition. Okay, so cops nail robbers, as it were, and a Brad is a type of nail.
If the listeners have got the crossword in front of them, as you see 23 across, it says arrest Brad, and he's deliberately put a capital B on Brad.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
of course,
to mislead you.
You start thinking about Pitt. And,
Yes, there we are. Thank you for pointing that out, because that's another one of the tricks is not only do they not put in commas when they should or put in commas when they shouldn't, they'll put capitals where they should or shouldn't just to mislead you. Right, police officers. Performance is to cause concern. I quite like this group. Police officers often DI for detective inspector. And when it's got apostrophe S, then it's going to be DIS. And there's so many words that in the English language begin with dis. So here we've got dis, and we've got performance. We've got C blank, N blank, E blank, T. It's going to be concert, isn't it? Disconcert. So this is always helpful when you've got so many letters in already. Gesture, a wave, did you say? So that's, we know, a homophone. And gesture is a sign. A wave is a sign, as in the maths. And so SIGN is the answer.
Did you say is the indicator there, isn't it?
Yeah, did you say is the indicator? Thank you. Yeah, the monthly magazine that's set in the Napoleonic Wars. I didn't think this was a particularly cryptic clue, but the monthly magazine is Vanity Fair, and we know that the Thackeray's novel is indeed set in the Napoleonic Wars, but I'm not sure.
I don't think I would have got this without having a lot of other letters, to be honest.
No, well, I wouldn't have done either. Which leaves us, we've only got 2 left. We've got 13 down, which is figures denoting corporations' growth, and we've got 14. So let's do 13 down. So we've got blank A, blank S, blank L, blank N, blank S. And one of the few things that fits here, if you think of corporation as in body and think of our waistlines growing, you've got waistlines.
Mayor and corporation.
Yeah. And finally, Everyman's on the up. So, Stuart, it was I'm, and now it's MI, correct?
Yep.
Everyman's on the up, succeeded, getting ahead. So MIS is I'm on the up. Leading is getting ahead. And not entirely accurate, misleading. So we have whizzed through that in
10 minutes?
10, 15 minutes, which is absolutely... There's no relation to reality at all. But it's been great fun. Well, that's it as far as crosswords are concerned. I want to thank everybody for coming along this journey with us. I hope you've enjoyed it. And more importantly, I hope now that when you look at a cryptic crossword, you will not feel intimidated. You will have that knowledge that you can try and unpick. You can look for some anagrams, you can look for some hidden words, you can look for the easier clues, and then the best way to get better at crosswords is to do them every day. I have to say I've stopped doing that because they can take over your life. I just do the Everyman on a Sunday, and I want to give the Everyman a plug because well, firstly, it's part of the Observer, which is just a great newspaper on a Sunday. I think it's well worth buying. And the Everyman crossword is what they call an entry level, which I think is not entirely true. I wouldn't consider myself a beginner, and I still struggle with it. And Stuart, you've got a few words to say about the setter Alan Connor, haven't you?
Yes. I should say we're not being paid by the Observer, by the way. And we're not giving away Alan Connor's name because there's an article about the Everyman and Alan Connor in the Observer from the 18th of June this year. And Alan Connor's been setting the Everyman for the past 4 years. He only does that one crossword, but he does a lot of other writing. Apparently he has a day job writing scripts and books, and he also works as the question editor on Richard Osman's BBC TV show House of Games. He also compiled a crossword for an episode of Inside Number 9. It's been very, very educational for me, this course, and I'm certainly going to tackle crosswords with more confidence. Now, again, we can only reiterate as psychologists that it does seem that any kind of mental exercise that taxes your brain is good for you, especially the older you get. We're going to leave crosswords now for a while at least, and our next episode is a really illuminating and amusing interview with a well-known actor. That will be our 5th episode, and we hope, whether you enjoy crosswords or not, you will come and listen to our interview of Michael Simpkins, because it's very, very insightful and illuminating. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll say for now, cheerio, and hopefully you'll be back with us for episode 5.
And goodbye from me too. Thanks again for joining us on this journey. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.